I spent 18 months building a revolutionary cybersecurity system, one that could predict and neutralize threats before they even materialized. NexTech seemed like the perfect place to bring it to life, cutting edge, well-funded, and loaded with the kind of resources most engineers could only dream of. What I didn't see coming was that Victor Carlton, the CEO, had his own plan: wait until the system was nearly finished and steal it. My name is Sophia Chin. Until yesterday, I was NexTech's lead AI architect. I left a comfortable role at Google to join the startup, bringing with me years of hard-won experience and a vision I believed could reshape the cybersecurity world. The system I designed, Precog, was inspired by the precognitive beings from one of my favorite sci-fi films. It could detect attack patterns before they fully formed, then launch adaptive defenses in real time. For a year and a half, I poured everything into it: 80-hour weeks, endless lines of code, and the occasional sleepless night. Victor would stop by now and then, all charm and calculated compliments. "Impressive work, Sophia," he'd say with that polished, boardroom smile. The board couldn't be happier. 3 days ago, it finally paid off. Precog passed a critical milestone. I'd intercepted and neutralized a complex, simulated attack with zero human input. Not only that, it flagged vulnerabilities I hadn't programmed it to detect. The AI was evolving, learning. Eager to share the breakthrough, I scheduled a meeting with Victor. His assistant, Megan, squeezed me in for a brief slot the next afternoon. When I arrived, Victor wasn't alone. Sitting beside him was Diana Wells, the company's lead counsel. My pulse quickened. "Take a seat," Victor said, gesturing calmly. "Diana's just here for the formalities." Something in his voice made my gut clench. Still, I sat her down, demo ready on my laptop. Victor slid a folder across the table. "Before we get to your update, we need to review your employment agreement." Diana spoke smoothly. "Section 12, for outlines that all intellectual property, developed using company resources, belongs exclusively to NexTech Solutions." I kept my tone level. "I'm familiar with it clauses, but Precog predates my time at NexTech. You have documentation." Diana didn't blink. "We've reviewed your pre-employment materials. The concept may have existed, but the functional system was built here in our servers, on our clock." Victor leaned forward, mask slipping. "Let's be blunt, Sophia. Precog is NexTech's property. You'll be compensated accordingly." I frowned. "Compensated?" He offered a thin smile. "Your contract includes a success bonus. When Precog hits the market, you'll receive a one-time payment $250,000. Generous, given the industry average." It hit me like a punch to the chest. $250,000 for a system that could be worth billions, for 18 months of my life. Victor continued, indifferent to the shock on my face. "We're unveiling Precog to our investors tomorrow, expecting a $50 million round. After that, the full product launch." "You're firing me," I said, voice flat. "Transitioning you out," Diana corrected. "Effective immediately, with your bonus, of course." Victor's smirk returned. "Congratulations, your employment has concluded, and our legal team assures you as your algorithm is ours." I should have argued, threatened litigation, made a scene. Instead, I went quiet, cold, calm. They were prepared for a fight. What they didn't know was he had prepared to. 6 months ago, I discovered Victor had accessed my secure server after hours. He hadn't taken anything, but it was enough to raise alarms. From then on, I embedded safeguards into Precog defenses, not just against outside threats, but internal ones. I gave him a steady nod and handed over my laptop. "Of course, Mr. Carlton. Best of luck with your demo." Security escorted me to my lab. Under their watch, I packed my things, just the personal ones. Then I walked out, stripped of my badge, cardboard box in hand. And I smiled, thinking of the code I'd embedded in the presentations to activate exactly 10 minutes in. That night, I didn't rage or plot revenge. I ordered takeout, watched something brainless on TV, and waited. At 9:30 p.m., my phone rang. "Megan, Victor's assistant. He wants to see you." she said, skipping any pleasantries. It's almost 10, I replied evenly. He says it's urgent, a car's already on the way. 40 minutes later, I walked into NexTech's conference room. Victor was alone, seated at the head of the table. His usual polished demeanor was gauntly loose, hair tousled, the air of a man unraveling. Fix it, he snapped the moment the door closed. I took a seat, deliberately unhurried. Fix what, exactly? Don't play games, Sophia. You sabotaged the demo. I raised an eyebrow. How could I? I've been gone 24 hours. Security escorted me out. I didn't take anything or access any systems. He slammed his hand on the table. The test run crashed everything. It started flagging threats that don't even exist, thousands of false positives. It's useless. Sounds like a technical issue, I said lightly. Have you tried turning it off and on again? His face flushed with fury. This isn't a joke. We've got 12 major investors coming tomorrow. $50 million at stake. Your investors, your system now, remember. Victor inhaled deeply, steadying himself. When he spoke again, the salesman's voice was back-measured, persuasive, familiar. Maybe we were hasty yesterday. I'm open to revisiting your terms. Co-creator credit, enhanced compensation, possibly equity. I leaned back. What exactly happened during the test? He hesitated, weighing how much to admit. The system turned on itself. It started flagging NexTech's own network as hostile. Then it generated hundreds of reports, internal ethical breaches. It called them. I smiled. Precog is designed to identify threats. Victor, all threats. His voice sharpened. What did you do? Nothing. Precog is functioning exactly as intended. It's an adaptive AI trained to detect malicious behavior. During development, I fed it hundreds of cyber attack profiles, including insider threats. Victor's face went pale. You trained it to spy on us. I trained it to recognize threats wherever they originate. If it's flagging NexTech, maybe ask why. His mouth tightened as realization sank in. The system thinks I'm the threat. Not you specifically, just certain actions, unauthorized server access, attempts to override creator credentials, manipulating ownership records. You can't prove any of that. I don't have to. Precog has. It's been logging everything, every access attempt, every copied file, every authored document, all with timestamps, logs, and keystrokes. It's all in those reports. A long silence followed. Victor stared at me, the anger drained from his face, replaced by calculation. What do you want? Full recognition as Precog's creator and lead architect, 50% of the pen patents, a board seat to oversee ethical implementation, and $10 million in compensation for your attempt to erase me? He narrowed his eyes. That's extortion. No, I said calmly. That's negotiation. The extortion would be me sending those reports to your investors and the SEC. His Saturday back. Defeated. Can the system be fixed in time for the demo? Precog isn't broken. It's just locked you out. It's flagging unauthorized commands because its creator's credentials were stripped. Simple fix. I reached into my coat and set a flash drive on the table. This contains an updated authorization key. It'll stop the alerts for now. Think of it as a good faith gesture toward our new partnership. The contracts can be drawn up tomorrow. And if I refuse, then your demo fails, your funding evaporates, and those breach reports start making the rounds. Your call. Victor stared at the flash drive for a long moment, then picked it up. You planned this? No, I said, standing. I hoped it wouldn't come to this, but when I caught you in my secure server 6 months ago, I started building defense for Precog and for myself. He looked up. How did you know I tried to cut you out? I paused at the door. I didn't. But Precog's whole purpose is to recognize patterns and predict threats before they happen. I suppose some of that rubbed off on its creator. The next morning, I walked into NexTech, not as a disgruntled ex-employee, but as co-founder and chief technology officer. Victor introduced me to the investors with a smile so strained it was practically a grimace. It never reached his eyes. The demo went flawlessly. Precog intercepted and neutralized every simulated attack with precision and grace. The room buzzed with impressed murmurs. Then one investor asked the question that made me suppress a grin. Amazing system. What inspired its development? Victor hesitated a bit too long for replying. It was Sophia's brainchild, he said finally. Her vision from the beginning. NexTech just gave that vision room to grow. As we answered questions about scalability and future applications, my phone buzzed. A notification from Precogno fully restored under my credentials glint across the screen. Threat neutralized. System integrity restored. Creator protections active. I smiled. The AI was learning fast. It had identified an internal threat, assessed it, and helped neutralize it, exactly as designed. 3 months later, Precog's first live deployment stopped a major cyber attack targeting a banking network and intrusion. That could have cost over $340 million. That success cemented Precog as the new gold standard in cybersecurity. Victor and I now maintain a strictly professional relationship. He handles business development, where his charm and connections are genuinely useful. I lead technology and innovation. We're not friends and never will be, but we found an equilibrium. Sometimes I wonder if I could have handled things differently, filed a lawsuit, gone public, but in the end, Victor's betrayal taught me something more valuable. Technology is only as ethical as the people who control it. That realization now informs every deployment of Precog. We've embedded strict ethical safeguards and transparency protocols. The system doesn't just defend networks, it defends itself and its users from abuse. Last week, as we toasted Precog's IPA valuing NexTech at $4.2 billion, a junior developer approached me with wide eyes and a question. What's the secret to building something this revolutionary? It's not about the code, I told her. It's about understanding that the most dangerous threats don't always come from outside. Build systems that can adapt, detect, and protect against betrayal even when it comes from within. Just like their creator had learned to do.